Hello everybody and welcome back for more Let's Play Donkey Kong 1994. In today's episode we're going to be going to World 5, the desert. And this is where it gets a little more puzzle heavy here. First stage here actually isn't all that bad though, because what you can do is that you just take these hammers, and this is actually where you can actually use the hammers as a little strategy here. Where you can actually just toss a hammer up, and then you just go up to the go to the next platform, and I failed that one there, so I have to try this whole thing again. One great thing about it, though, is that, you know, after using the hammer, the hammer actually respawned to its original position, so that's another great thing about it, and, you know, something I'm really glad about, too. Because, you know, back in the original arcade version, you know, after you use the hammer up, it's all gone, you can't even use it again. But, you know, thankfully, they always respawn back to where they were originally, so you can be able to use it again if you ever need to. So, yeah, that's what you do, and they showed it off in the intermission tutorial, where, you know, you can actually just toss with the hammer, and then once you climb back up, you can actually pick it back up again, and just continue smashing those bricks. That's basically what the whole thing entails. And look at that, another bonus stage, because I just got all the accessories and then all that too. So that's cool. And man, I'm getting pretty close to 90 lives. Or actually, the maximum number of lives you get in this game is 99, but I think they always increase more no matter what there is, or no matter what. But you know, for at the very least, like, you know, you're going to be given so many lives, and in fact, you know, just 99 lives up, man, yeah, you're never really going to see a game over at all. So, so anyway, like I said, the desert world is, it's pretty puzzle heavy at most points. I will say, though, that when I was recording this, this world did give me a lot of shit, too, and I was frustrated a lot of times, and, you know, it's not really so much because of the puzzles. Well, I mean, for one thing, though, I know a lot of people tend to get stuck on some levels, and, you know, especially, you know, for first-time players of this game, and this is actually way before the internet. Well, at least a few years before the internet, because I think it was like, you know, oh shit, I think it was 98 probably, or 96, I don't know. I mean, because I know I was born, you know, around the time before the internet, so I mean, so I think it's like, I think it was like 98 or 99 that was when the internet started, though. I mean, you know, it's got to be somewhere around that time, though. I mean, if you guys know a specific date, though, then, you know, please feel free to tell me in the comments for that, though. I mean, I know it's one of those things I actually should know about, you know, when the internet first started, though, but, you know, I just don't really, I mean, I've really paid much attention to the history, though, but I know for sure that it's, that, you know, is actually, you know, in the late 90s, so, you know, that much I know about, but, yeah, going back to this, though, like, you know, when this game came out before the internet, and I'm sure a lot of people were frustrated with how the puzzles were, and, you know, and they had to go through this without a guide, and, you know, and that actually makes me wonder how some people were able to figure out. I mean, I think there were, like, you know, manuals and all that, though, you know, with books that actually, you know, gives you some hints, because, I mean, that's what people had to rely on back in the day, was some manuals, or, you know, some hint books and all that, or, you know, basically, like, instruction manuals and all that to, for these little puzzles. But, you know, that was actually, you know, back way before the internet. It actually made it easier to solve some things here. And, you know, this is even before YouTube, because, like, you know, well, way before YouTube, because I know YouTube first came out in 2005. But, yeah, this is like, you know, way back when, you know, way before we had YouTube. And so a lot of people either had to figure out what they had to do, or, you know, and they were just kind of frustrated. They had to go and find some books to purchase, so. But nowadays, in this day and age, it becomes a lot easier now, because, you know, now we can actually go on YouTube and look up some video guides to see what we have to do. So, yeah, this day and age has gotten a lot easier for us. And, you know, I guess kids nowadays are probably just having easier access. And, oh, man, they have no idea whatsoever how much we had to go through back then. All the struggles we did. Yeah, back in my day. Oh, God. But, yeah, yeah, there's quite a lot of puzzle elements. I mean, I guess, you know, kind of be fitting for desert levels, because, you know, because I noticed that, you know, desert levels in video games, they do like to put in a lot of puzzles a lot, and, you know, I guess, you know, having had a lot of mysteries to solve with deserts, because, I mean, you know, because they're pretty well known for, you know, some certain riddles and all that. You know, it's what I guess, you know, some certain deserts are known for, of course. Yeah, I know, I see pyramids in the background, you know, just taking heavy inspiration from Egypt, so, or ancient Egypt at the very least. So, so I'll say this much, though. Yeah, like I said, this world is the one that actually gave me a lot of shit, and it got me really frustrated. And honestly, though, it's not really so much of the puzzles themselves, though. I mean, you know, I don't really I mean, you know, right now I know how frustrating the puzzles can be, though, but it's not really so much that, though. I mean, I don't really care much about that, though. What really actually got me the most, though, was, was basically having to control Mario over, because, the one bit of a small gripe I have with this game, though, is that, like, for one thing, Mario's control, compared to Jumpman in the original arcade version, I mean, it's not as stiff as it was before, but sometimes he can slip just a little bit here, and, and also whenever you fall down, then Mario does this little forward roll, then, he kind of just, slips off a little bit, though. But I will say, and you'll probably see it on some of the, or a couple of later stages, when, there's these little tight platforms, or kind of the small platforms. So, like, Mario tends to slip off, and, whenever he jumps from platform to platform, especially going on the ropes, and I want to make sure that he stays right on the platform, but for some reason, what he wants to do instead is that he just wants to slip off of there. So, yeah, see, like, this stage, for instance. So, this is actually where it gave me the most trouble, too. And, having to go from platform to platform here, when Mario just goes in and jumps over, and, see these little small platforms like that. So, the most troublesome thing about it is that, I try to make sure that Mario stays on there, but, you can actually see that he actually slips off there instead. And so, I don't want him to do that. I want him to stay on the platform. Yeah, see, like that there. This is actually what was giving me the most trouble. Was when, I was trying to stay on there, but Mario doesn't want to stay on there. He just wants to slip off instead. And I was, like, I was actually yelling, like, Mario, goddammit, stay on the fucking platform. And, it's almost like, Mario's kind of, like, rebelling against me. I was trying to make sure he stays on there. Like, he wants to form a rebellion. And, no, Mario, you stay on the platform. Don't fucking slip off. So, yeah, that's actually the one kind of, one of the kind of few complaints I have with this game is that, when Mario would actually just go and slip off instead of just staying on the platform like I want him to. But, he just continues doing that. And it took me a long time to get this level because of that. Only because of the way the control was of Mario slipping off. Because he just doesn't want to stay on the platform. It's like, like I just try to make sure he stays on there, but no, he doesn't want to do that. So, like, it's like, he's the one in control, not me. So, so yeah, that's the reason why it did take me a long time to get to this stage because of it. So, like I said, it's not really so much the puzzles themselves, though. That's actually the most frustrating part. I mean, they're fine in themselves, though, and just having to figure it out actually just seems fine too. But it's the way having to position Mario to where I want it to be, but he just does the exact opposite of what I want him to. So that's where it was really frustrating me is because of that, though. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it didn't really hamper so much my experience of the game, though. I mean, I still do think it's such a fantastic game. Oh yeah, look at that! This is a direct callback to the original arcade, where just go over the ladders and just dodge the barrels, and then you get to Pauline. Yeah, that definitely is more of a reference to the original arcade version. But yeah, like I said, though, I mean, I do think it's a fantastic game, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it a lot, though. It's just there's just a couple of levels, or a couple of stages themselves, though, that can be really frustrating. And and even the puzzles can be pretty complicated, though. I mean, just having to figure things out, though. But honestly, like, if there's some puzzle elements I couldn't figure out, and then I actually find something out, and then and I was like, oh man, I wish I would have known that. I don't really blame the game for that, though. I mean, it's just something that I wish I would have known. Now this one is also very much puzzle heavy as well. You got to make sure to actually pull the levers in the correct order, because the way the doors open and close down. Although, yeah, this is actually one of those things where, people had to, try to figure this out without a guide, and I know how frustrating that can be. But I would say this game does at least do a good job with, just doing all the puzzle elements, and, maybe it could be fun to get frustrated and all that, though, but, but it does really give a good satisfaction in figuring things out, though, but, but like I said, it's not really so much the, puzzles themselves that I actually have, that be griping about, though. I mean, I honestly don't really care, though, because, it's actually more so of a me kind of thing, and, if I don't figure this out, but then I actually find this out what we have to do, then, it's actually more something that, that I wish I would have known. So that would have been my fault, though. But, it's just, the kind of gripes I would have, though, is just having to reposition Mario where exactly he needs to be, but instead he just wants to slip off. So, that one, yeah, that one I would actually have to gripe about for. So that's really what was frustrating me for the most part. But, yeah, that's what I was saying, that, that's what I was saying, that, this world here is actually the one that gave me the most shit, so. Anyway, so that's pretty much done over with, though, so. like I said, very fitting for a desert level that, you know, that's gonna be puzzle heavy, and you know that's kind of what desert levels are known for anyway, though, just having to solve some puzzles or some riddles and all that. Because you know they just kind of like throwing all that all over the place. And yeah, it's a pretty long world too, so you know you see a bunch of stages here too. Now this one, for this kind of puzzle here, you see a bunch of these squares too, or the platform squares, and also the trampoline squares as well. So what we gotta do is that you know, make sure to yeah, just create the platform first, and then the trampoline itself too. Oh yeah, and by the way, folks, whenever you actually create the platform, and then the timer starts going down, but then once you get another square, and then you actually either create the ladder or something else, so the timer actually resets. So, you know, that way they're actually giving you more time to be able to go to these platforms and the springs. So, yeah, it doesn't really continue on, though. The timer actually does reset. So, I actually am thankful for that, though, because otherwise, then that would have been, like, you know, impossible. That would actually just really damage their experience. And so, I know, like I was saying, that, the one minor nitpick I would have with this is that, how the time limit actually is much shorter when you're making the platforms, but you know, once you actually collect another square and they do this kind of sequence again, then then actually just resets, so that way they're getting even more time. So that one I actually am at the very least thankful for. Now this one, yeah, this is actually where this is actually where people get stumped on the most. Because as soon as you start the level, you want to make sure to get that black square first, and then that way there you can actually just go and block the door from ever closing. So that way there you can actually be able to just get into that one side. So yeah, that's another kind of puzzle element that a lot of people will get stuck on as well. Having to figure things out. So yeah, like I said, this is actually where it actually peaks for how for those puzzle elements, and so that's where people get frustrated and all that. So you have to figure this whole thing out. So anyway, so now we're at the boss, the end boss for the stage here, or I mean for the world here. Not stage. This is a stage. The whole thing is a world. So for this DK fight here, instead of barrels, you actually have to throw these little moving pharaoh heads against him that he throws over at you, and then you just have to toss them over. So yeah, it's still kind of the same though, but a little different though, where you're not really tossing barrels at him, or in fact he's not really tossing barrels at you. You just throw these little pharaoh heads against him. So. But now that's over with, and then we're going to take him down here. So yeah, it's still very much recycled though, but just aesthetically different though, in terms of having to throw these objects here. All right, so now we're done with the desert world, and so we had this airplane. Oh yeah, I guess either taking cues from either King Kong, with the way the airplanes are, when Kong himself actually going on top of the Empire State Building. Except that we're not really in New York or at Manhattan at the moment though. But honestly though, it actually does kind of it does kind of remind me a little bit of Indiana Jones, where they just escape with the airplane. So I guess it is taking cues from both King Kong and Indiana Jones. So yeah, there we go. But now we have the next world here, the airplane world. Except it's not really a world. We're actually just on an airplane itself though, so it's kind of redundant for me to say though. So. Anyways, next time on Let's Play Donkey Kong 1994, we're going to be doing the airplane next. So until then, I'll see you guys later.